I've had some interruptions, but now I'm finally back to ramble about the sixth Harry Potter book and movie, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. This book was, I have to say before I get into it, a big relief to me in many ways. After Order of the Phoenix, I was afraid that that was the style that the books were going to take from then on, that Harry was going to get, angrier and angrier, and there was going to be more caps lock yelling, that they were just going to get longer and longer and more bloated and colder and colder, and that the magic was going to go away. Thankfully, Half-Blood Prince put all of those fears to rest for me because the magic was back. Harry was back to his old self, which I was a little bit surprised about in a good way. Uh, the wizarding world believed him again, so people were on his side. He was more popular than ever. They called him, his new nickname was the Chosen One in this book. Umbridge is out of the ministry, thank God, and it was just altogether a much more pleasant, warm, inviting reading experience again. Um, this book mostly deals with Harry and Dumbledore. Well, Dumbledore really telling Harry and teaching him a lot about Voldemort's past, and which is going to help him learn how to defeat Voldemort. And then there's also the running the mystery subplot about the titular Half-Blood Prince, who is the former owner of Harry's used potions book, who scrolled all of these notes in the margins and was like a potions whiz, apparently. um, yeah, so in this book there is a lot of dark stuff going on, both in the background and a little bit in the foreground as well. Yet next to or after Order of the Phoenix, it felt a lot more lighthearted. There's a lot of shipping stuff going on again in this one. The Ron and Hermione romance reaches a stumbling block just when you think they're finally going to get together, because another girl, Lavender Brown, becomes interested in Ron. Harry finds a new love interest after Cho, which really came out of nowhere for me, and I still don't know. I mean, I'm kind of lukewarm about it's. If you don't know, it's Ginny Weasley. After Order of the Phoenix, everyone thought that they were done for because Ginny had found another boyfriend and moved on, and she was all tough now and had a personality, and we thought there was never the Harry was just a childhood crush for her, and that was never going to happen. So in this one, all of a sudden he notices her. I guess after he forgot about Cho and he got over that, he notices Ginny, which it wasn't that badly done. It's better than in the movie, at least, but I don't know. It still felt a little bit out of nowhere, and Ginny has never really been one of my favorite characters. I almost feel like J.K. Rowling was trying too hard just to make her like the perfect match for Harry, or she was a tough athletic girl and that's what he liked, and she wasn't weepy like Hermione was, for example, and she was just the right girl for him in every way all of a sudden. I don't know. Just kind of bugged me a little, but I went along with it because I'm not really that much of a crazy shipper. I just go with the whole canon things. After I got over the whole Hermione Crump thing when I was 13, I've just gone along with the canon ships. My favorite parts of this book, as in the other books, some of my favorite scenes and chapters were always the scenes where you get a sort of flashback into the past or through the pensive, or like in Tom Riddle's diary in the second one, Harry gets to see a scene from the past. In this one, there's a lot of scenes like that where Harry and Dumbledore go into the pensive and see, you know, stuff from Voldemort's history and all of those various things. So I really loved all of those scenes, seeing Voldemort as a child and as a student at Hogwarts, and seeing Voldemort's family too before he was born. I just thought was fascinating. Those are always some of my favorite parts. Probably the biggest new character in this one is the new potions teacher, Horace Slughorn, who is, I guess, the closest we come to a good Slytherin character in the books. He is just like a really fat, gluttonous guy, though, who loves to collect trophies of people, where he just loves to have groups of students and have parties, stuff like that. And he likes to be surrounded by famous people, so he will collect those types of people into his groups, such as Harry, obviously, and then Hermione, because she is, the best student in her year. Slughorn, I thought, was interesting that she finally had a Slytherin character who was just not portrayed as totally evil for once, yet he had all of those unsavory aspects to his personality too. He was like, totally selfish and a real glutton. So it was didn't quite hit the mark. I was, I think, hoping for something a little bit more good in more ways, I guess. I mean, he was definitely funny too, and he also has a dark secret, and I don't know. He was a funny character, but I guess I was hoping for, when I heard there was going to be a good Slytherin character, that it was going to be someone more wholly good, so to speak. Ending for this book is really, really sad. I don't want to do spoilers in these videos of what happens. I mean, I'm sure everybody knows, but I cried. I think I cried the first time I did was in Goblet of Fire, when Harry cries in Mrs. Weasley's arms at the end, and then Harry cries in Ginny's arms in the end of this one. And I guess whenever Harry gets teary-eyed, which is really not often, he doesn't cry that much. Until book 7, he cries a lot. I always get misty-eyed too. I feel like Harry really grew a lot as a character in this one. Ron and Hermione are kind of off doing their own thing, and it's like, for once, Harry does not need Hermione's or anyone else's guidance, really, to get things done, which I thought was good. It really showed, his growth and development after he was horrible in book 5. He turned it around full force, which I really loved to read about. Yeah, this book, and especially after I really didn't like book 5 that much, this book I loved in so many ways, and it's not number 1 for me. It's probably like number 3 out of 7 in the ranking, but I still have to give Half-Blood Prince a 10 out of 10 rating. Next for the movie, and this has a cool, cool cover holographic where it changes look. It's Harry and Dumbledore, and then it's Malfoy and Snape. Look at that. I wish my other covers had that, but they don't, sadly. Anyway, the Half-Blood Prince movie for me, I felt started out really good, and then it fizzled out for me. It was off to a really, really good start. The acting in this one, Emma Watson, I don't know if she took an acting class or what in between movies 5 and 6, but for this one, she could actually, for once, act. She was not doing the eyebrow thing. She was really acting. In fact, I think she became better than Dan Radcliffe in this one. And then Rupert Grint was really good, as always, too. So all of the trio now have become their characters for me. So I really liked watching their scenes more than ever. And I liked them in the 5th movie too. But in this one, I really felt like they became their characters. They were just waiting for Emma Watson was the straggler to catch up to the guys in terms of acting ability. Some of the disappointments for me, though, first of all, was the ending. They changed the climax of the book because they didn't want it to be too similar to the ending of Deathly Hallows, which I say is crap, because they were really not similar. Just because there is a battle in a castle doesn't mean it's necessarily the same thing. So the ending was kind of anticlimactic and boring for me. It didn't really build up to anything. The Harry-Ginny romance also was a big big fail in the movie. In the book, I was just kind of meh to it. I thought it was decent, not bad. I mean, they're not romance novels, so it doesn't necessarily have to be the main focus. Yeah, in the movie, instead of Harry and Ginny, like, having an actual conversation and really getting to know each other and getting along, and then Harry realizes he likes her, it just kind of, they have several really contrived scenes with cliches in them and just saying like one or two stupid lines, no real actual scenes of them talking to each other. And Bonnie Wright's acting, also, she's the one who plays Ginny, really, she has not had much to do before this movie. She really had no part in the movies whatsoever besides extra. And you could really tell she had not had all the acting experience, and I guess that didn't give her as much room to grow as, the other child actors. She was pretty wooden and dull. And what they gave her to do didn't help. In combination, I think, of the writing and her lack of experience led to pretty dull performance and all of their scenes, which really went for me. That's how I felt about the Harry and Ginny romance in the movie. In this one, I thought there was a little bit too much focus put on all of the romantic stuff and everything else going on, the romance and fun teenager crap versus the memories that Harry goes into with Dumbledore. I wanted to see a little bit more of that, a little bit more of the Voldemort backstory. What we did get to see was really good, but I wanted to see a little bit more. So that was a little bit of a disappointment too. In terms of good things, Michael Gambon as Dumbledore finally he was the Dumbledore of the book and not some crazy, like, shouting old man like he was in the fourth movie, which was a big relief. There were a lot of really, really well done scenes too. I feel like it really excelled in all of the comedy scenes that were in it. That was definitely a big plus. Another part that I didn't like was the added burning of the burrow scene in the movie. Just didn't make sense to me. I felt like they would have been better off keeping the little battle / skirmish at the end. And I know they were trying to do something different. It didn't work for me at all. I thought it was stupid, first of all, that the Weasleys, who are all wizards, are just standing around watching the burrow being burnt down instead of putting it out with their magic. Like, they're just going to stand and watch, and then they'll do something about it after. I don't know. It didn't make any sense, and a lot of it didn't make any sense. Another thing, there was actually something I liked more than the book was what's his name, Jim Broadbent as Horace Slughorn was a toned down version of Slughorn in the book. He's still, big, but he's not morbidly obese like Slughorn in the book. He doesn't look like a walrus, and he's more of a nicer guy. And you get to see more like he was a humanized version of Slughorn, which I preferred to the Slughorn in the book, because it gave more of a good side to Slytherin rather than, the caricature that he was in book form. So I like that. Overall, I think this movie had a lot of good things going for it, but it really fizzled out to nothing in the end. It built up to a climax that never happened, and I guess, I don't know, I'm wavering between whether to rate it 7 or an 8. Maybe, because the beginning was really good. I'm gonna go with 8. I think 7 is a little bit too negative. 8 out of 10 for Half-Blood Prince movie. Woo, look at that.